Hi, I'm Marilyn San Clemente of Stamp with Marilyn, and welcome to my creative playground. Tonight I'm going to show you a couple of cards that I made with the Florals in Bloom set, which is the new set that's in the annual catalog, and it is a two-part stamp set. So I will get my camera set up. Good evening, everyone. So today is the second Tuesday of the month. And so that means today was Stamp Club Day. And we did a combination of cards with a couple of different new sets. So let me show you those combinations. This is the Pretty Floral set. These are the images that are stamped, and then these are ones that are die cut. And what I love about this set is it has both. You can stamp images or you can die cut images. Same as the Impressions Bloom set. And then the second set that goes with it has these really pretty words that you can cut out. Lovely, have a lovely day, or let joy bloom where you're planted. And then you also have Itza, and then make a smile, and then a couple of other things. So those are the two sets that go with this, Sweet Blooms and Pretty Florals. And we'll be using those tonight. And let me show you some cards that we made today with my stamp club. This is a step card that we made using the new sailing set, and I'm trying to remember the name of the set. Is it Set Sails? It's in the online exclusives, and I really, really love it. Has a really cool embossing folder, and then you can also cut out the boats with it, and you can build and color the boats. So this is a step card, so it looks like this. I don't want to stand it up, then you can't see, but it looks like that when it's all together. And this is another card that we made, and this one is using the Beautiful Gallery set. And for this, rather than using I did use the Beautiful Gallery paper, or not paper, the stamps from the Beautiful Gallery set, but I used the burlap paper from the Textured Design set and cut that out. And then this is the Beautiful Gallery, and these are stamped images from the Beautiful Gallery. But what I liked about this was it was fun to take this label and just kind of cut it apart and spread it out and give it a little bit more oomph. So it's just a different way to use a label. I like to find different ways to use things. And we did this one, which I love, and this one was courtesy of Lynn Dunn. I like this card. So it opens like this, and so it's a fun fold, but it also has this little pillar to it as well. So I thought that was really cute. And this is using the Botanical Gardens, no, not Botanical Gardens, it's in the online exclusives, and it's black and white paper, and it goes with actually this paper, the textured paper. And so that was fun to use as well. And then we use this punch that is retiring, the punch that has the sprigs and the flowers on it that is retiring. So, okay, let's get started. I have two cards to show you tonight. I am starting with a piece of Bubble Bath cardstock. This is 8.5 by 5.5. And of course, to make a regular card, you cut your cardstock in half at 5.5, and then you flip it and score it at 4 1/4. And once you've scored your cardstock at 4 1/4, you fold it over. A bone folder is always really great because a bone folder will allow you to score that really good. Get a nice crisp score line, which we want with this. And then for this one, I am going to use this piece of white. Oh no, I don't want the white. I'm sorry. I'm switching up the colors here. Okay, I'm going to use this piece of fresh freesia, And this is going to go inside. So let me do that. Let me put this inside. And what I like to do is a basic card is 5.5 by 4.25. So I like to cut this 1/4 of an inch smaller for the inside so that when you have colored cardstock, you have something to write on. So I'm putting this on the inside, and I'm going to do something a little bit different today with this. And, okay, I'm going to use, I have the 3M sticky pieces, and I'm going to use those to hold this down. And I'm going to do something a little bit different with this. There we go. And actually, okay. I'm going to teach you a little technique called masking. And I have 2 different colors. I have Strawberry Slush, and I have Pretty in Pink, which are 2 of the current in colors. In fact, these are the in color dots, or flat pearls, as we call them. Okay, so I'm going to, oops, uh-oh, it's moving around on me. I don't want that. No, you can't move around. I'm going to put this down here. It will make sense in a minute. Okay, and I have I think this is a hyacinth, but I'm not sure. And I'm just going to take this, oops, and, oh, this isn't going to stay still. Okay, oh my gosh. This is just not going to stay still. There we go. Okay, so this is the background image, and I'm going to stamp like that. Okay, and then this is the detail for the flower. And now I'm going to stamp down on the bottom, same thing. And what I wanted to do with this is I wanted this dimension. I wanted this to go through both the base of the card and the card itself, you know, on the main image of the card and then the base of the card. So that was the whole idea behind doing this. And I actually cannot take credit for this idea. My helper, Julie, is the one that came up with this idea. And when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's really cool. I really, really like that. Because I'm always looking for different ways to do things. So I'm going to put those there. And now what I have done is I have taken some sticky notes and stamped these flowers and created a mask for the flowers. And what I'm going to do is put this, so usually when I create a mask, I just put it back in the stamp case because you may want to use it again in the future. But what I'm doing is I'm hiding, I want to hide the flowers so that I can stamp leaves around them, and the leaves won't overpower the flowers, if that makes sense. And I'm having a real hard time here because this is just moving around, so I'm not sure how this one's going to come out. I didn't have that problem this afternoon, but anyway, okay. So those are on there. So now I have this little leaf, which is in the second set that has the sentiments in it. I'm going to put that out of the way. I will do this. So this is Granny Apple Green, and what I'm going to do is stamp in, oops, and it just pulled it off. So much for using sticky notes. They're supposed to work. Okay, so I'm going to stamp a little bit over here. I'm going to stamp here. Maybe stamp another one there. Oh my gosh, it's pulling all my sticky notes off. Okay, let's see if I can get that to, oops, shoot. There we go. To work out a little bit better. And let me do this. I think it's because I'm trying to put them on glass, and that's why it's not working so well. They're not sticking to the card, they're sticking to the glass. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there is our card. And now let's do this side down at the bottom. So I'm going to do the same thing. Put that there. Well, maybe they're not making the sticky notes as sticky as they used to be. That might be the issue. Okay, so I'm going to stamp over here. Stamp on the side. Peel those off. Let's kind of stamp in the middle here. Whoops. Move that down. Oops, line that back up. Okay, and move that back like that. Okay. I do want to do and move this over. Do one more over here. Ugh, my hands are shaking. Ugh, getting old is no fun. I have lots of problems with hand tremors. Clean off our stamp. So this is a chamois, and I use this quite a bit. These are, I think they're $9. They're in the catalog, and what I did was I just put mine in a plastic case. Some people cut them up into smaller pieces, or you can use a Ziploc bag to store it. But basically, you want to just keep getting it wet and keep it wet when you're using it. So while you're stamping. Okay, so now what I want to do is, here is some fresh freesia ribbon. I'm going to wrap that around. Grab that. Okay, so I want to wrap this around like this. And I'm going to wrap this side around and tack that down. There we go. Okay. And now what I want to do is I'm going to attach this, but I want this to pop up. So instead of using dimensionals, I want that whole layer to pop. Okay, so instead of using dimensionals, I'm going to use these. These are dimensional strips. And I used 2 strips this afternoon when I did this. And so what I'm going to do is, you don't want it too close to the edge. You want it on the back of the card, but you don't want it too close to the edge because you want it to stick up, but you don't want the dimensional piece to show through. Oops. There we go. Here they are. They're on the bottom. All right. So I am going to put 3 little squares. These are 1 3/4 by 1 1/2, and I'm going to start with the middle. Okay, so then I can space them out. And these are just the back sides of the designer paper. Here's the cloud cover. And cloud cover is now available. You can buy the re-inker and get a spot. And that works very well. You get a really nice color of kind of bluish gray. And there was a problem with the ink pad itself. The spots are a different component. And there was a chemistry issue with the ink pad. And so they decided not to sell the ink pad because it wasn't working correctly. And it was very gray looking. It didn't have that blue color. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm getting my blade under there, and I used adhesive back sheets. So they're 2-sided sticky sheets. And if you're cutting something like this that's very fine, you put it on the back of your cardstock and then you run it through your machine. And again, same thing here. And you can actually see right here, I ran out of sticky strip. So I'm going to have to glue that piece just a little bit. So let's just add a couple drops of glue here to right here, right there. There we go. Okay, and now we're going to line this up on here. I love words like this. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Let's take our words. Things are sticking to my hand. Okay, so I'm going to put have a lovely, and then I'm going to put day down here. Okay, so we're going to do have a lovely day, and we'll put the day down there. And let's use Highland Heather. So this is Bubble Bath, and this is Fresh Freesia. So Highland Heather is just 1 shade darker. Okay, so here's the word day. So let's put that down here. There we go. Just a little bit crooked, but that's okay. And then let's try if we get that straight. There we go. There we go. Oh, I like that. And in comparison to the one that we did today, I decided to change it up a little bit. So I just changed the colors. So this one we used all white. And then I actually also spritzed it with a little bit of Granny Apple Green with the marker to make kind of a splatter effect. So there's the 2 cards that I've made, and I love this technique. And again, like I said, Julie came up with that idea. I'm not sure if she saw it somewhere or she just came up with the idea, but I just thought that's just a really cool way to make a fun card and not, and make it very different. So that's the inside of that, and I did not do anything to the inside of this. Normally what I would do is put a strip of designer paper across here and then write a message or add some more flowers to it. I'm switching up the colors a little bit, and I'm switching up the colors and switching up the paper and all of that. So, okay. So this is a sheet of Gorgeous Grape, which is the darkest purple that we have. And I cut it to 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25, and then I cut off. I used these stripes, what is that called? Fancy Borders, which is this set. And here it is. And I created that scalloped look. And then the Fancy Borders set comes with this really pretty border. I haven't tried using this yet. I should do that. And then it has these nice little notes. A special delivery sent with love to and from, just because. A little hello with a lot of love. I like that. Actually, let's use that on this. A little hello with a lot of love. That sounds like a good message for this set. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, and let's put this card together. So what I have done is I've used the textured rectangle dies, and I have cut a piece. So this is Gorgeous Grape, this is Highland Heather, and this is Basic White. And then this is a piece of the designer paper, the Floral Bloom designer paper. And so I'm just going to attach that there. So this is a cool way to make a fun fold. Okay, and let's put this in here. Oops, it's a little bit too long. Didn't trim it down. Okay, so this should be 5.25 tall. And it's 5.5, so I'm just going to cut a 1/4 inch off. Whoops. Oh, and there goes my cutter. Okay. My chamois was in the trash. My cutter's on the floor. It's a good thing I'm at the end of that I'm working on my second card, right? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this here like this, so that kind of peeks through. And normally what I would do, but I did not do it correctly this time, is okay, when I do the front of a card like this, I usually cut this piece to 4 by 5.25, as if I was doing the whole front of the card. And then I cut this off, and then I cut 3/4 of an inch to an inch, depending upon how far in I go with my edge, and put that piece here. And this time I made the mistake of cutting it off of this side instead of this side. And so it doesn't quite match up, but if you were to put it over here, it would match up. So that's just one of those little things that I did, but no one's ever going to know, right? Because you're not going to tell on me. Okay, so now I want to stamp this. So what I was thinking for this one, okay, I really like this flower piece here. And I think that that's what this is right here in the background. So my thought was, let's stamp that. So let's stamp this with the green, the Granny Apple Green. There we go. Oh, pretty. And then I'm going to stamp this. And unfortunately, this is not a two-part. The other stamps are two parts, where there's the background image and then there is the detailed image. And this one is not. But I'm going to use Gorgeous Grape and stamp those pretty flowers, although they use two colors here. So, but unfortunately, this one does not have a second piece to it. So, okay, this is going to be the tricky part. And I think, am I going, yep, nope, I'm going the right way. Okay. Okay. So down on the bottom there's two flowers. There we go. Yeah, that worked out really well. So you line up right here and right here, which is what I lined up, and then it kind of all falls in place. This falls in place and that falls in place. So that worked. Oh my gosh. It's not exactly perfect, but when do we ever have perfect? Make a message with this. So let's grab my little handy Yes, perfect. Excellent. There we go. A little hello. And I know I've shown this to some of you, but when I'm cutting labels, if I have extra paper, I'll go in and I'll just cut extra labels, and then I keep this back here so that I've got those ready to go. Okay, so we're going to put this, just center this on this layer. What I love about these textured layers, this is a new die set. It came out in March. And what I love about this is every rectangle has a different design around the outside. But they layer really, really nicely. So I really, really like it. And the rectangles that we had, the deckled rectangles did retire, so those are now gone. Okay, so there we go. So let's do that. Let's add, I've got some ribbon here. Let's add a little gold ribbon to that. Oops, oh my, didn't do a very good bow there. There we go. Okay. So let's put this. So, and I turned it off. I put it in airplane mode. I turned it off. I can't turn off the internet because then it wouldn't go live, but okay. So I put this on dimensionals and I put it on crooked. I'm just going to straighten that out a little bit. Oh my gosh. Maybe, maybe not. Those dimensionals are really sticking. Okay. There we go. Okay, straighten that out a little bit. There we go. Okay, now this is just a little bit bare up here. Get to put it back together. Okay, so this is the dark Highland Heather blend, okay? And I'm going to take the brush end, and what I like to do, there we go. Can you see the splatter a little bit? You can also do this with Wink Estella, and it adds some really pretty glitter to it. Oh, yeah, look at that. Okay, and then I'm also going to color these flowers. That adds a bit to it, doesn't it? Put that on dimensionals there. Okay. I think I'll put that, add this over here. Where'd my dimension? There we go. Need my glue dots. There they are. I'll put that there. Okay, and then let's, oops, that's still coming up a little bit. Okay, let's take, and let's do this. There we go. Oops. Put one down here. And put one up here. Okay. Okay. So this is this card, and then this is the card that I had made before, where I used 3 of these, cut them out, and then stack them together. So, okay, so there's our different cards, or 2 cards 2 card layouts done different ways. And oh, I wanted to show you this. Okay, so here I did this splatter with the green, but when I was stamping these leaves, I got a little edge. So I found these old flowers that I had. They're from a couple of years ago. And I just added one of the flowers to it, and it looks like it's another flower that's just kind of popping out. So there's 99% of the time there is way to hide things like that, you know, things that happen. So I had a bunch of these that I could put on. Here, let's do this. I was going to put some of them on here. Let me get some glue. I just want to put a couple of these on. Oops. There we go. I knew I had punched them for some reason. Okay. And then I could also put some on here. Let's put some on the inside on this one. Okay, so I just put 5 little dots of glue. So I do want to mention, I am 2 years ago, a whole 2 years ago, I booked a trip to Alaska with a friend. We're doing one of the cruises, and it's a 3-week cruise. And then my son lives in Edmonton, Alberta. So I am going to, when we land, we end up in Vancouver. We start in Anchorage and we end up in Vancouver. And so I'm going to fly up to Edmonton from there and spend some time with my new grandson, who's going to be 1 year old next week, which is so hard to believe. But so I will be gone for a good part of June, but I am trying to prepare things and load things so that you won't get bored without me. But I will also be offering some specials, some flash sales and things. So stay tuned, and you might be able to get some good flash sales while I'm gone. So, okay, there we go. Isn't that pretty? So thank you so much for stopping by today. If you're not on my mailing list, go out to stampwithmarilyn.com and sign up. My newsletter went out today. I send out 1 newsletter a week, but then I also send out specials and little notices, and I also send out card layouts and things like that for you to check out. So go out and sign up. So thanks a lot, and have a great rest of the week. Take care.